Hey, this is Mark Washington, MTC Media here. So, after the George Washington game the other night, I thought there was a great conversation and an interesting point that George Washington coach Chris Caputo talked about. And one of the things he talked about was the expansion of the NCAA tournament, whether there should be more teams in. I've thought that the NCAA tournament should expand. I mean, not to date my age, I remember when it was 48 to 53, so that should tell you enough. I thought his reasoning is perfect. Here it is.
Well, I think what it is McNeese in the first game is in the top 100 in KenPom today, potentially a quad 2 game. Middle's been really good throughout the years. Murray has been really good throughout the years, and as a new coach, it's elevated them pretty quickly. I'm hoping like 2 of these 3 games will wind up being a quad 2 games, top 100 net games if possible. That really helps us. I think I said this before, like we signed up for this. It was an 8-team event where you were for sure going to get a couple of quad 1 or 2 games. The nature of MTEs has changed, and I think anybody wants to, write an article about that, like it's probably good to do a little research on like what's going on right now and the changing landscape of these multi-team events that, hey, when I was at George Mason and we're playing Orlando, we can play Kansas State, South Carolina, Villanova. When GW can go, play 3 high major schools on a neutral site 10 years ago, like those days are over. They won't play the games. They just will not play the games. They don't even want you in the events. You call the events and say we want to play, they're like, no, you're not in. We're not doing it. So what you wind up finding is now you got to find these neutral site games that are within the top 100, like yourself, South Florida, potentially McNeese, all these games, to try to get quad 1 or 2 games. So we're going to keep being aggressive. And then obviously you can get Florida on a neutral site, which is great, but that's a quad 1 that's in the top 10, right? But if I tried to get the 40th best team, we're 53 today in KenPom. I just saw we're the highest rated KenPom team in the Atlantic 10. So we're cleanly, as of today, a quad 2 game for people. Maybe even a quad 1 in certain situations, right? But like, it's just so challenging in this landscape, and it's the fix is in. The net. It is what it is. I mean, it's just this what it is. We all know what it is, and you can't manipulate it. I think I'm for expansion because I don't think they're going to go away from this metric. So, and if they're freezing you out of the opportunities, the only way to get more teams from a league like ours, which has traditionally been a multi-bid league team, the teams win games. I always use that example of, I was at George Mason, we get 2 at-large bids, we go to the Final Four and win a game in the tournament in the first round. Those teams would not be in this environment. And it's all because of a metric. It has nothing to do with the games or the teams or anything. And so I'm for expansion, and I have a lot of media friends that are not for expansion. I get it, but I don't see how you couldn't be for expansion when they basically they moved the goalpost on what it would take to get in these for teams outside of those power leagues. There's 20 teams in the Big Ten or whatever it is. Like, they just freeze you out.
So to all the cynics that say, well, if you add spaces, they're going to give it to, the 11th team in the SEC or, to the 8th team in the Big Ten, I don't believe that at all. I do think that more of the, conferences like the A10 would get more teams. If there's an expanded tournament, George Mason probably gets in last year. So I think that's a cop-out. And we can't hide behind, I like it the way that it is. So what? When it was 48, people liked it the way it was. When you had to win your conference tournament, that was the only way that you could get in, taking out one of University of Maryland's best teams ever, because NC State was the only one that went that year with David Thompson and them. I mean, people moved on from that, and it progressed from that. The it's perfect the way it is because this is what I want my memories to be. It's kind of silly and it's childish, and if you're an adult saying that, stop. I'm on board with Coach Caputo. I do believe that there should be some sort of expansion. Mark Washington, MTC Media.